All right, here we are at step number 1. And today I am very excited because you are going to discover the first step that will completely change your life. Let's get to the point so that this video is as brief as possible. In November 2024, I was at an in-person conference with a man named Bruce Lipton. He has written a lot of books, gives lectures, and is a world-renowned authority. And he is the person who, from my point of view, best summarizes the most advanced, the latest discoveries in science and medicine that have been made, that have been carried out. He explains everything to you and summarizes it in an incredible way. So I am going to try to give you this summary so that you understand why the biotechnology that I am going to share with you in this step 1 is the most powerful, the most advanced that exists to improve your health, regardless of what your problem is, because as you already know, everything depends on the charges, on the pH, which is the same. Remember the battery topic. And above all, you will be able to do this self-diagnosis, this self-evaluation, with a very simple pH test through breathing, which I hope you have already done. So let's go there. Today, both medicine and medical science in general are still teaching us that the nucleus, where the DNA is, the cell nucleus, is responsible for regulating cellular functions and therefore is the brain of the cell. Bruce Lipton discovered that quite a few years ago in 1960, he removed the nucleus from a human cell and found that the cell did not die. Like any living being, if you remove the brain, it should die. Well, this cell did not die. It continued living its life completely normally. But there was one thing it couldn't do. That thing was to reproduce. Therefore, what they are calling the brain of the cell is actually the testicles or the ovaries of the cell. They are the gonads. So if you want to change cellular functions, you cannot do it through the DNA, because the DNA is actually just the reproductive part of the cell. So Bruce Lipton said, okay, if the nucleus is not the brain, what regulates cellular functions? So for this, he conducted this experiment, and this is taken from one of his courses, where Bruce Lipton, around the 1960s, what he did was place a stem cell in a petri dish. In 1960, almost no one knew what stem cells were, but he was already working with them. And these stem cells began to divide from 2,4, from 4,8, from 8,16, until after a week he had approximately 50,000 stem cells in the petri dish. The important thing about these 50,000 stem cells is that they were all genetically identical. Therefore, the genes, supposedly those that regulate cellular functions, would have to be regulated in all of them in the same way, since the DNA was the same. After having these 50,000 stem cells in a petri dish, what he did was divide these 50,000 genetically identical cells into 3 petri dishes and added a different culture medium to each petri dish. What is this culture medium? The culture medium, so you understand, is simply the human blood that nourishes the cell, but artificially created in the laboratory. So having 3 different culture media is equivalent to saying that in petri dish number 1 they used my blood, in petri dish number 2 they used yours, and in petri dish number 3 they used someone else's blood. In reality, that's what the culture medium is. It's what replaces the blood to feed and nourish these cells. So Bruce Lipton simply let these cells continue their course, continue reproducing, and after a while he discovered that in petri dish number 1, the cells had turned into muscle, in number 2 into bone, and in number 3 they had turned into fat. It is quite evident that muscle has very different functions from bone, and bone is completely different from fat, and so on among them. With this, Bruce Lipton discovered, based on the experience, that the nucleus of the cell is not the brain, and that cellular functions are regulated. And this is very important, what I am going to tell you. The functions of your cells are regulated, and the genetic destiny of each cell is regulated through signals that arrive from the outside of the cell to the inside of the cell. In this case, we changed the culture medium, we changed the environment of the cell, we changed the blood that was around these stem cells, and by having different blood, the cell received different signals from its environment. It did different things. It produced different tissues, and functions are completely different. Therefore, the most important thing, what Bruce Lipton describes as the secret of life, the signals regulate the genetics of the cells. Now, your body is composed of a community of approximately 50 trillion cells, and these cells function exactly like a human being. So we can say, as Bruce Lipton said, that cells are miniature people. They do everything exactly like us. And here we come to the part where Bruce Lipton says that this is the formula or the secret of life. That is, we are made of proteins. These 150,000 proteins made from DNA form the cells. Then the cells form tissues. The tissues form organs. The organs form systems. And the set of systems forms the human being. Therefore, how does the human body work? What is the secret of life on Earth? Well, we are made of proteins. Proteins receive the signal that comes from the environment. And when the signal reaches the protein, it regulates the function of this protein. It even regulates the function of the proteins that are around the DNA to regulate genetic expression, and then a behavior is generated. A function is generated. So this is very, very important, because the protein is the mechanism, but you can give that mechanism different orders. It's as if the protein were your computer or your smartphone, and you, through commands, through programs, through the mouse, through the keyboard, through your voice, you give orders to that computer, you give orders to that smartphone, and depending on your orders, on the signals you give it, your computer and your smartphone will do completely different things. So, correct signals will lead to correct behaviors or results. Okay? Incorrect signals will lead to incorrect behaviors. Therefore, the quality of your life, the quality of your health mainly depends on the signals. As this slide by Lewis Lipton tells you, these signals are the ones that control what comes from outside the cell to inside the cell, crossing the cell membrane, which is the brain of the cell, and this membrane, in contact with external signals, allows these signals to pass and regulates all cellular functioning, including the genetic expression of the cell. And all of this generates the behavior of each of the cells of your body. Therefore, if I have a health problem, it means there is a misconduct or bad behavior in at least one of the cells in my body. And if the formula is that the protein plus the signal generates a behavior or conduct, and the conduct is wrong, we only have two things to change that conduct. Two variables that we must review. But look at what science has discovered. Genetics is not to blame. Defective genes cause less than 1% of all diseases. This is what science has discovered most recently. Therefore, if DNA is the template for making proteins and DNA is responsible for less than 1% of diseases, that means that when you have a health problem, that health problem, less than 1% of the health problems that exist, are caused by toy DNA. That means that more than 99% of the health problems that exist today in the world are caused by a bad signal, by poor signaling. In fact, David Sinclair, from Harvard University, one of the leading authorities on anti-aging in the world, he himself says that aging is a problem that could be considered a disease, and that aging or disease is caused by poor signaling, because we lose the ability to signal or send and receive signals between each of the cells in our body. Now, what can cause these signals not to work, or how can we negatively affect these signals? It can be through trauma. If you break your spinal cord, the electrical signals that regulate the functioning of your entire body will obviously no longer be seen there. But also toxins. You might have heavy metals, or you might have toxic residues from a poor diet. There can be a lot of toxins that may be accumulated in your body and interfere with the signal. But also your own thoughts can create signals that are not correct. Now we are going to see it. And so we have that traumas are traumas that affect the physical environment of the body. Toxins affect the chemical environment, and thoughts affect, although I couldn't put it there, the energetic environment. So we have three types of signals: physical signals, chemical signals, energetic signals. And if any of these three signals malfunctions, it will affect the functioning of proteins, leading to bad behavior, discomfort, a problem, or a disease. This is what Bruce Lipton always teaches in each of his conferences. Now, look at this. Stress is the biggest cause or the main cause of all problems. Why? Because whether the signal is interrupted by physical trauma, whether the signal is interrupted by, as mentioned here, by toxins at the biochemical level, or whether the signal is interrupted by negative thoughts at the emotional or energetic level, any of these three will generate stress, also known within the body as oxidative stress, or, in other words, an acidic pH. It relates to the previous video. Now, why is stress the main cause of all problems? Because when your body has oxidative stress or an acidic pH, the blood supply to the viscera is cut off, because that blood supply is sent to the extremities, since the body understands there is a danger and thus needs to survive. The immune system shuts down so it doesn't expend energy, because if you are under stress, your body understands that there is a danger, a life or death threat, and so it wants to keep all the energy available so you can run, fight, struggle, save yourself, escape, hide, to save your life. And finally, the conscious mind shuts down, which is the part of our mind that differentiates us from animals. Why? Because the conscious mind is capable of processing a millionth of the information that your subconscious mind can process. So, if there is an external danger, you need to react very quickly to have a better chance of saving your life. And that is why the conscious mind shuts down when we experience stress. And obviously, if you live too long with the blood supply to the viscera cut off, if you live too long with a weakened immune system, and if you live too long with the conscious mind shut down, reacting in subconscious mode, it is evident that this will bring you health problems in one way or another. And it is what causes, as it says here, 1 + 2 + 3 causes over 90% of the diseases that exist. We have now finished this part. If we already know what causes the problems, and we already know that what needs to be corrected is the signal, how do we change the biochemical signals? Well, my friend, these are the 5 steps. The 5 steps are designed to modify all the signals, to improve all the signals in your body, the biochemical signals, and the energetic or emotional signals. If we change or improve all these signals, which is what is really causing the stress that affects you, oxidative stress, acidic pH, and diseases, if we correct these signals, your body, remember, proteinal, signal, misbehavior, because the signal is interrupted by one of the causes of oxidative stress. So, if we improve the signals, we change the signals, we change the cellular behavior. If we change the cellular behavior from incorrect behavior to correct behavior, your body regains its normal function of keeping you in perfect health, regardless of what it has been. The cause or the symptom or the problem doesn't matter, because all problems where your body has misconduct, misbehavior, or malfunction come from the signal. And if we improve the signal, we improve the behavior, we improve the function, we improve the conduct of each of your cells, and you will experience this by improving your health. This is why step number 1 is related to a biotechnology that is basically the discovery of all the biochemical signals that your body produces, which are called signaling molecules of reduction and oxidation. Those molecules that are related to negative and positive charges, which are involved in maintaining the perfect pH. When you ingest them in liquid form or apply them to your body in gel form, what you are doing is introducing the correct signals in the form of the same molecules with the same charges that your body produces to correct that signal, that cellular signaling. And if we improve the entire signaling process through this biotechnology, which is the only one in the world that has these molecules identical to those your body produces, then we are going to improve the pH, we are going to improve oxidative stress, we are going to improve the final behavior, because we change the signals that your cells receive. So, this concludes step number 1. If you have more questions about what this is and how these molecules work, this biotechnology, the first thing you need to do, this biotechnology of molecules signaling oxidation reduction, that is, of electrical charges in balance. If you have any more questions about how this works, get in touch with the person who gave you this information so they can share more videos like this with you. But delving deeper into the molecules, or you can have a Zoom meeting, maybe with me, maybe with someone else from my team, so that all your questions can be answered. My advice, start with these molecules. Talk to the person who shared this information with you. Start using them, and when you start using them, here I have my bottle of molecules. When you start using them, do the pH and breathing test. Because if this is what I say it is, on the first dose, or on the second day, or on the third day, if you repeat the pH breathing test, and this really is what I tell you it is, your balance has to improve. If your charge balance improves, if your pH improves, you have to endure more, and you should see it reflected in the breathing test. Therefore, you will know, without any doubt, that this is already working for you from the first day you start taking it, or the second, or the third. Okay? Anyway, if you have doubts, or if after 20-25 days of taking it you see that the pH breathing test remains exactly the same, don't worry. You call the company, they refund 100% of your money, so you lose nothing. This is completely harmless to health. It has no side effects because what is inside here is the same as what you have inside your body, only here we have it at the correct pH, in the correct charge balance, and if you take it, it will do the same inside your body so that your body can improve the signals, so that your body can correct the behavior and conduct of each of your cells, thus improving any health problem you might have. And since this is guaranteed to have no contraindications, it has all the scientific studies done and is guaranteed to work for you within 30 days. If all this I'm telling you is not fulfilled, and you will verify it with the pH breath test. If it is not fulfilled, we will call you, and without asking you anything, without requesting explanations, they will refund your money. If after taking this, a week or 2 weeks after taking it, your pH is still not above 45 seconds in the breath test, that means you need to give your body an extra boost, and you need to see and do step number 2. That's all from my side. A big hug. See you in step 2 if you need it.